You are listening to Wicked Psychotherapists, a podcast where two psychotherapists show you that taking care of and learning about mental health doesn't have to be wicked hard.
Hey guys, it's Tanya.
Hey, it's Erin, and welcome to Wicked Psychotherapists.
Yes, we have a good one today. We hope that you all had a great Halloween. This will probably come out a little bit after that in November. We're in early November right now, but moving into the holiday season. Are you ready for the holidays coming up?
Me? Yeah. Well, not Christmas, but Thanksgiving.
Not that far out.
I have like little scarecrows outside and stuff. I just had to take all my ghosts down this morning from Halloween. But in Florida, it's actually feeling like fall. It was like in the 40s the other day, and it's been in the
Ooh,
60s and stuff. So it's nice and it feels fall. So I'm excited for this.
that's some nice. That's a good fall weather. That's really
Yeah.
good. Very cool. Yeah. I'm definitely ready too. We've actually it's been pretty cold up here and we're getting like really brilliant colors and foliage this year, like which sometimes we just don't get, and I am loving it. I'm definitely in the spirit of things. But yeah, I did want to point out I am in a different location. I'm sure you guys probably realize that, just doing some house renovation stuff. So just for this week, it'll be a little different, but I still got the same
Yep.
chair. Yeah.
No background of the past.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so today we're going to be doing a really fun one. This is a classic, the movie The Outsiders,
Hmm.
which is wonderful. Just an insane amount of like all-stars packed into this,
Yeah.
like sardines, just a lot of them in their younger, kind of before maybe they exploded or right at the beginning of when
Hmm.
they exploded in their celebrity. But this was in 1983. Is that right? When it was
Let me see.
released?
Yep.
I know 1980. Okay. The book was written I believe in the 60s, like the late 60s or early 70s, by S.E. Hinton. So it's based on the book. We were just talking about how S.E. Hinton, I'm sure everybody knows this now, but I mean, I believe she's still alive, was a 16-year-old girl when she wrote this.
Yeah.
Nobody knew, like she kind of disguised her initials because it was back in the 60s or early 70s when
Hmm.
people maybe didn't take women as seriously or in the writing world. So all this interesting stuff. But anyways, the movie is has always been one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, chock full of some handsome men, right? We got some. I know that's not the only part that's great about it, but like, I mean, we got some Rob Lowe. We got, my favorite was Matt Dillon at the time.
Yeah.
I loved him.
Yeah.
We got Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, Patrick Swayze. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like
See
we
Thomas Howell, Ralph Macchio.
Yes. Jeez. And that was, yeah, just all those, I'm going to say cuties for the other ones because the other ones were younger, but, the ones who were 18 and over, very handsome, handsome, handsome. Because I just feel
But
strange saying that, but
well, it's also like when we probably originally watched it, they were still young.
oh
So it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think, or they were definitely like way beyond the age where I was like, okay, or maybe we were that age. I don't know, but yeah. So this is a great movie because not only the all-star cast, which I'm drooling over, but the different themes that we see in this movie between the greasers, which is kind of the group of quote unquote delinquents, the kind of lower socioeconomic status,
Mhm.
people who maybe don't have as much, or the have-nots, and the socias who are, they are people who are, they have everything. They're at the
Yeah.
top, they're richer, wealthier, their parents are probably influential, positions. They're the quote unquote like cream of the crop kind of
Hmm.
people.
Yeah, and it seems like they all, which is something noticed either Johnny or someone said too, like they all seem to have Mustangs. They all drive the Mustangs, which is
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Which is like such a symbol of like, I've got money and
Mhm.
prestige kind of. Yeah. And so the movie is
Yeah.
kind of, all based on, we meet the three brothers, Daryl or Derry, Patrick Swayze, who's very overprotective of Ponyboy, was the youngest, who was very like sensitive, sweet, lost, kind of trying to find himself, doesn't know his way because even though he's very loyal to the group that he's in the greasers, he kind of doesn't really align with some of the toughness that's
Mhm.
needed.
Yeah, both him and his best friend Johnny are just really sweet compared to
Yeah.
everyone else who tries to have almost like a thug type of thing. They try to be really tough.
Yeah, they need to kind of have that exterior to be in that group. And then we got the middle brother, the adorable Rob Lowe, Soda
Mhm.
Pop. And hey, I do want to ask, where did Soda Pop and Ponyboy, where the heck did those names come from?
I don't know because Ponyboy says when he first meets Cherry that that's their real names. It's even on their birth certificates. So
Yeah,
their parents must have been very interesting people.
I
It's
guess
just,
so.
Daryl, they said, "Okay, we'll have a normal name for our first son, and then we'll name him Ponyboy and Soda Pop."
Let's just go for something mainstream and then 2 just wild out there savage names
Yeah,
of just
yeah.
whatever.
But
Pony
they fit
Boy,
them.
Soda Pop. It really does, yeah, because, yeah, Pony Boy is very kind of, I don't know, soulful and sweet, and Soda Pop is kinda curious and kinda light and fun and
Yeah,
whimsical,
he's
sort
sweet.
of.
Yeah, he's very positive too and just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, so maybe they were just going based off their natures, maybe they knew, I don't know. But,
Mhm.
I know, here I go over analyzing stuff that
Yep.
doesn't really make any sense. But, yeah, so we meet the brothers, we realize they don't have parents, so Derry or Daryl has taken over as the role. He's kinda tough on Ponyboy, he's very like, overly protective. There's kind of that dynamic going on, and then we first meet the Socs at when they go to like a movie, like the greasers kind of they kind of all are, meet up at the brother's house. That's kind of a meeting point. We got Two Bit, Emilio Estevez. Oh, we forgot about him. Two Bit. Steve, which is like Soda Pop's best friend. It's Tom Cruise.
Mhm.
We got all these people just coming in and they kind of just, they hang out. They all look out for each other. They all
Mhm.
kind of have this tough exterior. They all kind of come from what may be labeled as like broken homes. It's things are tough, maybe blue collar,
Mhm.
kind of lower socioeconomic homes. Johnny himself is very much abused and neglected. And it
Yeah.
seems like this group of friends really looks out for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they decide to go to the what was it, the
Mhm.
drive-in movie or something,
Mhm.
and there's a pack of Socs there, and then, Ponyboy and Johnny kind of more Ponyboy because Johnny's a little shy, starts talking to Cherry Valance, Diane Lane, who I think is just amazingly gorgeous. That's the first time I ever saw her in any movie, but I was just like, "Wow, these people are very pretty all in here."
Yeah. I read something recently about her, how she said, like, how it was so interesting being, like, one of the only women
Mm,
on with all this whole male cast and
I
just
bet.
how
Yeah,
it was
that
kinda
must've been kinda
the whole
crazy.
dynamic. Yeah, whole dynamics and everything with them
Yeah,
all.
because I know that the director, Francis Ford, Coppola, I always wanna say Coppola, but I guess it's Coppola. Sorry, I don't know. A resident Italian background here, maybe you can help me out, I don't know. Is it Coppola? Do you know? Is it or
I always thought it was Coppola,
That's the way I
but
always say, okay, we're gonna say Coppola then, alright. But I just heard them, like, in interviews, they kept saying Coppola, and I was like, "Man, I'm saying that wrong, okay." But I'm gonna you are Italian, so you have Italian blood. I'm gonna take your word on it. Okay. So Francis Ford Coppola. Yeah. So he would, kind of he wanted them to kind of be like to kind of have like that brotherhood and they would kind of like mess around off camera. So they kind of would have that chemistry and they totally did on
Mhm.
screen. Yeah. So it was really, really nice.
Yeah, and they seem like I mean, who knows if they really were friends in real life, but they seem like they liked each other, and like we were saying, like, at least Patrick Swayze and C. Thomas Howell were probably close because did a few movies with each other afterwards.
Mhm. Yeah,
And,
you discovered that with I didn't realize that, yeah.
but who
Yeah.
knows, like, I'm sure Rob Lowe and Emilio Estevez were too, because I think they were part of that Brat Pack,
Yep,
you know?
yep. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there were definitely a lot of ties in there. I did see an interview, and maybe it was with Francis Ford Coppola, that they were all kind of, like, together, but Tom Cruise was a little bit apart, like, not like he wasn't like, he was totally on the outside, but he was a little more serious in, like, his acting.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know if maybe he just kind of was really like, that's just his process. I guess that was kinda
Right.
just the way it was, but he was a little bit of, like, not quite in, like acting out as, like, kind of within the,
Yeah.
like, playfulness all the time.
Yeah.
But not that he wasn't,
Yeah.
within it, because
Well,
it was still
that
really good chemistry.
I actually heard that about Ralph Macchio too. I read that he was very serious. I don't know if he was into method acting or something, but I heard he wasn't as goofy as everyone else was too.
And he was also a little bit younger than the rest of them too, right? So maybe he was
No,
kinda like,
well,
"Ooh," like, trying to do this.
C. Thomas Howell was the youngest in real life too. I think he was 15 when they started filming.
Oh, okay, so he was the youngest. Okay, okay. Yeah, because Ralph Macchio always got he kinda always looked young when he was,
Yeah, because even now, like, when he's like, we just watched the most recent Karate Kid movie, The Karate Kid Legends, the other day, and he still looks really young, and I think he's, like, 60 something. Then we watched the Cobra Kai and all that, but yeah, he hasn't aged much.
he's in his 60s. Yeah, no, he does look good. He's kinda one of those Italian, right? Got great genes,
Yeah,
like, doesn't age, like
yeah. Yeah, I
yeah.
think he's, like, I don't know, I think he's, like, 60, 63 or something.
That's
63,
crazy.
yep. Yeah,
Oh, that makes me feel so old. But yeah, he does. He looks really good. Yeah, he's a sweetie, yeah, but, I mean, I don't know if he is in real life, but he wasn't as Johnny,
he's
for
actually
sure.
wow, okay, I just for little thing, I just looked up Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe is 61 right now, and Ralph Macchio is 63, but in the movie, I think it's because Ralph Macchio always looks so young.
Yeah.
He's yeah, in all the movies, like Karate Kid and everything, he always looks so young, so Rob Lowe was probably playing we were talking earlier that Rob Lowe and, Tom Cruise, like, their characters, like Soda Pop and Steve, we think they were probably, like, supposed to be, like, 18 or so, and I know Johnny said he was 16 in the movie, the Ralph Macchio character.
Oh, he was 16, okay. I
Yeah,
don't
because
know why I thought
I remember them telling Cherry at the drive-in, she was asking how old they were, and Ponyboy said, "I'm 14," and then Johnny said, "I'm 16."
I always mix that up, yeah, because Ralph Macchio does just look so yeah, he looks younger. I always think he's younger, and because of his, like, kinda shyer nature in the movie,
Yeah,
like, his, like, sweetness, he kinda seems
yeah,
but yeah, so we this movie is just it's so important, it's just so crazy to me that a girl in that is 16 wrote about this, but she probably would have a really great eye on this.
yeah,
That there was such a divide in social classes and how people were treated and what people were looked at when really there was a lot of trauma and a lot of broken families that
mhm,
these greasers were coming from. I mean, the 3 brothers didn't have parents. Their parents had died, and they were,
right,
like, keeping up
yeah,
paying bills, and Derry
yeah.
had to, like, quit school. He had, like, he might have had, like, a scholarship for football, and he had to, like, take care of his brothers and work and,
Yeah, and be the
you
father,
know
act like the father and just yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard to be put in this role because he's also always probably worried, like, I don't want my brothers to be taken away, like, so there's probably was always that fear until one turns 18, and so, yeah, he's always worried, like, "Oh, I don't want Ponyboy to go to a home."
Yeah. Yeah, which is just so, like, such a part of not only just for the brothers, but within, like, the greasers code is, like, we would look out for each other, like, it's
Yeah.
very, very present, like, they're a very close family, like, they may not have much, but they have each other.
Mhm.
And the Socs, they kinda seem, kind of like they're they support each other, but they're more kinda for themselves. They don't have that kind of code. They don't have that, like, kind of like, "Oh, we're all in the same, like, kinda rough circumstances, so we need help, we need support," which you can kinda see that in some communities, now, you know what I mean? Like, where
Yeah.
there's a lot of togetherness because people are helping out. They're all in a common struggle. and they
Yeah.
can see that, and having a strong community is very, very vital.
Yeah, and that's also why, like, a lot of times when you're a kid or a teenager too, like attracts like too. So you're going
Mhm.
to be drawn to, maybe not by on purpose, but maybe more kids that you hang out with or families might be in the same situation, might be divorced or might have parents that might use substances or might be in the same socio-economical situation. It's not always planned, but it is like, oh, we have more things in common.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's it really is so interesting just to see that play out in the movie. And when, they meet up at the drive-in, some of the greasers, Two-Bit kind of hits on Two-Bit Emilio Estevez, who's kind of goofy and kind of just a goof off. He likes his Mickey Mouse and beer and cake and stuff.
Yeah. It's just really like, you almost
Yeah.
wonder, like, what is wrong with him? Like, is he developmentally disabled or something? But no, he's just, like, emotionally immature. He's just, like, he's just well, again, like, they're just kids. Like, he's probably just only, like, 17 or something.
Right, yeah, yeah, he probably hasn't had much growing up, and so this is kinda this is like a happy thing for him, just cartoons and also beer, and some
Yeah,
cake. But, yeah, and so he, hits on the wrong Sosha's, like, girlfriend. He doesn't, realize that she's with him, I don't think.
right.
And they take that as a huge offense, and it starts up this fight. But before that, we see Ponyboy talking to Cherry Valance, Diane Lane, and they have this
Mhm.
cute connection. They're very much like
Yeah,
on the same level, and they talk about like books and art, and they really have a lot to connect with, but they're worlds apart in their
yeah,
social standings. And Cherry even says something like, "Hey, if I see you at school, don't take offense if I don't say hi," kind of thing, like kind of preparing to be like, that's just kind of how it is. We don't like associate with you guys.
yeah.
It's so
Which
sad
he
because they
knew,
have so much in
which
common.
which he kinda you could tell he's kind of offended, but then he realized, like, "Okay, this is why,"
Yeah.
and then it is it is sad, that I can't risk my social standing for communicating with you.
Yeah. It's kind of like Cherry comes from this world where those are the people that she has. And it sounds like, it makes her sad. She doesn't want that. And she kind of says some things at certain points, like, I don't really want this either, but she feels kind of stuck in it, right?
Mhm.
Like this is just kind of how everybody has problems too. It's not just, you guys like and Dally or I know they call him Dally, but Dallas, Matt Dillon. In that movie, I just love him. From the book, he's kind of like a true kind of like, had a lot of experience on the streets. He was in New York. So
Yeah,
he's kinda seen a lot, he's been in a lot. He's kind of
yeah,
the, like, leader of that kinda area, greaser, kinda place, and he knows like,
yeah,
he's the kinda wise person even though
yeah.
maybe doesn't make the wisest choices.
Yeah, he seems to be like the not the leader, but he seems to be the toughest one. The one who actually has like, hey, he has the rap sheet. He's
Mm,
done all these, things that have caused him to be arrested or, maybe he's killed people in the past, so there's all of that. So he knows like, okay, when you get in trouble, this is what you do. This is where you go to hide out. This is
mhm.
how you stay low until, until people die down. So it's just
Right.
kind of, he knows where, and the kids knew when this happens, we need to go to him. We can't go to my brother.
Yeah,
It's just,
'cause he would, he would flip his lid, kinda thing.
yeah.
But yeah, it's very it's and he definitely has a soft spot, especially for Johnny, but Johnny and Ponyboy, like he's very protective of them, but he also is like you gotta, he's gotta teach them to survive too, like
Hmm.
in this world and like kind of have a hard shell because he had to do that, and he knows
Yeah.
the way it is and he doesn't want to see that happen to them. But yeah, it's when they, at the drive-in movie theater, everything, there's like a fight that breaks out with the Socs. I can't remember the one with the curly
The
hair.
curly hairy hair. Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
Garrett or so like in real life, like Leaf Garrett or something. I don't know. Is it
So,
Bob?
yeah, it was Bob.
Okay, Bob. Yeah, he kind of looks like a Bob. He just I always kind of found him not attractive. I don't know how to
No, he's kind of goofy looking, and it is you do kind of question like, how is this guy the leader of these dingbats? Like it's just kind of Yeah, because he's just kind of like this. Yeah, he just. I think it's probably because he has the nice car and he probably has money.
Yeah, yeah, and that's interesting, right? Like, who's the leader of each group is determined by such different things. Like, one is, like, money and,
Yeah,
like, prestige, and the other one is kind of, like,
yeah,
who's actually had the experience and knows the wherewithal, or has the wherewithal to, like, protect you and, like,
right,
keep you safe, and that experience.
right.
That's kinda interesting. But, yeah, they get into a fight and that riles up the Socs because they're just like, "Oh, hitting on our women," kinda thing,
Yeah,
and then later, the Socs are still, like, drunken up and mad and looking for trouble, and Johnny
right.
and Ponyboy are out at the park because of they kinda, like, were running away sorta
Yeah.
thing. That was the
Yeah. Yeah, they just yeah, and I was telling Tanya before because we always have, like, a pregame, but it's just, like, that was one of my I don't know if it's my favorite part, but I just like how, when Ponyboy gets hit, he, like, leaves his house, he runs, and, Johnny's already laying there because they had fallen asleep together in the park or wherever they were in the field, and then he just wakes up Johnny, and he's like, "We're running away," and Johnny doesn't even think twice about it. Johnny's just like, "Okay, get up," and then they just start running, and they go to the park, and I just love that their friendship is just so pure, and they just care so much about each other that Johnny doesn't even question, because he's already just like, "You know what? I can't stand my family. I don't like him. I don't feel safe, but I know I feel safe with my best friend, and
Yeah.
I'll do whatever he wants."
There's, like, that feeling of this group is looking out for each other, like, even if their families are broken, they had to form, like, a family of their own to feel safe and really
Mhm.
look out for them, which is really a strength and, a resilience for them that the
Yeah,
Socs don't quite have.
right.
And then, of course, there's I hate that scene at the park where they attack Johnny and Ponyboy. They try to drown Ponyboy, and then poor Johnny has to kill one of the Socs, and he's just like, "I had to," and he's just traumatized and
Yeah.
terrible.
Mhm.
That scene always got me. Yeah, I didn't I don't like that, but it just kind of shows, like, and it really was truly self-defense, but they know
Yeah.
that if they're caught, that they're gonna be looked at as delinquents and Johnny's gonna face jail time, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
they don't
Yeah, they're
don't
gonna
even question it.
yeah, they're gonna believe the people whose parents have nice jobs and,
Mhm.
just probably donate to different political things or whatever. They're gonna
To the
believe those
police
people.
department, yeah.
Yeah. Than,
Yeah.
than the people who are always getting arrested or, whose parents might not have jobs.
Yeah. 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 I think that it shows such a disparity of just kind of the
Mhm.
experiences of these things that are, it gives like a behind the scenes look at what it was like in the 60s. And of course we can, still see that, in many different ways, but just it was so
Mhm.
unique to me, like, to kind of see that in that setting. When I remember I first started watching this and hearing words like rumble and greasers and socials, I didn't know what the heck
Yeah.
it was. I was like,
Yeah.
"That's so weird," like, it was just this whole, like, lingo
Mhm.
for setting that up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, and so then Johnny and Ponyboy go to Dallas.
Mhm.
We're talking about he's the one to know, like, "What do we do? We just killed a Soc," and he's like, "Alright, good for you, get in." He doesn't
Right.
even, like it's not even like he just doesn't blink, and then he, like you said, he takes them in and he is like, "Hey, are you guys wet? Hey, do this," he kinda is, like, very paternal towards them and
Yeah. Yeah.
gives them
Put on this
advice.
sweatshirt. You're gonna get sick and let me take
Yeah.
care of you.
Yeah, it's very and then he tells them where to go to, like, hang out, and he's like, "And then we'll
Mhm.
I'll be up there in a week, this abandoned church and everything,"
Right.
and so yeah, and I mean, it really is that protectiveness and that you really see it in there, and it's so sad to see all the things that are against the greasers just because they don't have money and social
Mhm.
standing, and
Right.
in a big plug for mental health, it just was not really a thing to see that, like, Johnny is being abused and neglected. Like, the 3 brothers do not have parents. Who knows what the heck is going on at Two-Bit's house? Like,
Yeah.
who knows what's
Yeah.
going on at Steve's house?
Yeah. Well, it seems like Two-Bit probably never eats, like, so this is
Yeah.
like he probably relies on, the Curtis brothers for his food, it seems
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, that's why he's always scarfing down cake and beer, and yeah, he just wants something, cozy like Mickey Mouse, his favorite.
Yeah.
But that is really funny, yeah. Yeah, and so, then Johnny and Ponyboy go up to the church and, this abandoned church, which is, like, dilapidated, and they're just kinda like, it's out in the middle of nowhere where
Yeah.
Alice
Some
told them to
country,
go.
yes, somewhere in the country. I don't even know what state they're in.
Yeah, I don't either. Is it
I was trying to figure that out. I'm like, are they in, like, I don't know, I was wondering if they're in, like,
I think it's
Pennsylvania,
supposed
New
to be
York,
set in Oklahoma. I think that's what
Oklahoma,
it
okay.
I think. I think that's what the book is, but I don't know, like, are you talking about where it was filmed or just, like
No, where they're supposed to be, so maybe it is Oklahoma, I can't remember.
for some
Yeah,
reason, I'm thinking Oklahoma, don't quote me on that, but don't yell, people, if I'm wrong. I think that's what it is. For some reason, I
yeah,
think that's what it is.
okay.
But, yeah, so when they're up at the church, what were your because I remember thinking when they went up to the church, I was like, "What the heck are they gonna do? Like, what the heck
Yeah,
is the plan here?" Like,
yeah.
what were your thoughts when that happened?
Well, it seemed at first you're like, "Okay, well," like, I forgot that part, I was like, "Okay, are they gonna clean it up and make it, like, homey?" But I was thinking, like, they're gonna, like, dust off, find somewhere, but they just kinda just sleep on the floor, and the stove isn't gonna work, it's just but I like how Johnny took control and is like, "Well, I went and got us some peanut butter and bologna and, bread just to survive for the 4 days that we were told, because they were told, like, just hang out for at least, like, 4 days or something, but, yeah, I guess they didn't really take into account either because it sounded like they ran out of food right away or soon because they were trying to eat a bunny and, trying to catch the bunny, so
Yeah.
they ran out of food and everything. I don't know, I don't think they really again, they're just young kids, scared, not really sure what is happening, but they're like, relying on, Daryl or, whatever just to, you know, lead them. Like, it's just really Dallas, not Daryl, but they, like, just to lead them. So it's just I don't know, I don't think they really had any major plans on what they were going to do. I think it was just kind of, "Okay, we're told what to do. We're scared. We don't wanna get arrested. Let's just hang out here."
Let's just survive. Yeah, and you're right,
Yeah.
they were only 14 and 16, so, yeah, I don't know what the heck I'm thinking they would think about planning, and it's not like they planned to kill, someone.
No.
Yeah, they must have been really, really scared. It was just such a it's funny because Johnny actually seemed to kind of kind of like that time up there, like, he felt like he could kinda be free from, like, the
Yeah.
constraints of everything, and,
Yeah.
maybe Ponyboy kinda did too, and kind of was one morning he gets up and he looks at the sunrise, and
Yeah.
he does the "Nothing Gold Can Stay" by Robert Frost poem, and he's just very, very
Oh,
soulful and feels that. I love how you know, Johnny's like, "Where'd you get that from? That's what I meant." And he's like,
yeah.
"It's just a poem," and he's like, "I think it's just about, the fact that," and he talks about, like, such a central theme to the movie of just like, innocence is broken very easily, and it's just gone just like that, and it's
Mhm.
it's it's hard, it's a part of nature, and it's a part of their lives in the lives that they live, and
Yeah.
it's just so touching. I just remember loving that poem and just the way he
Yeah.
expressed that. I loved that. I, like, committed that to memory in my teenage brain. That was was remembering.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also, like, talking about that period too is what I also liked when Johnny went shopping and he went and he brought the Gone with the Wind book, and
Mm,
Ponyboy said, like, "Oh, I've always wanted this," and Johnny's like, "I know. I thought you could read it to us." So that's another really sweet moment and just, like, so it tells you so much about their friendship too, that they would just he would just sit and read to him, and they
yeah.
were so present where there's like, it's almost like they had this chance of, like, mindfulness too, like, of, like, "We're just being here. Yeah, we're scared, we're hiding out, but we're gonna make the most of it. We're gonna read to each other, we're gonna look at the sunset or the sunrise and just kinda just hang out and wait until we have to, like, do the next thing."
Yeah. Yeah, if it weren't like they were wanted by the police or Johnny wasn't, it could have been a nice little mental health retreat, right?
Yeah.
It was kinda nice.
Yeah, because it was because it seems like in their day-to-day life, it's always very chaotic. Like
Mhm.
Johnny's living with it sounds like his parents are alcoholics, and they're always yelling, and they're abusing him and fighting with each other, and Ponyboy and Soda Pop, and Daryl are just trying to survive. They're just
Yeah.
trying to, "Well, now we have this new parental brother figure, and we're trying to just be a unit and figure that out." And so it's always very chaotic. So at the church, even though it was run down, boarded up windows, they're hiding out, they don't want anyone to know they're there. It was probably very peaceful for the two of them.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, they didn't have to be kind of surrounded by all that stuff, and all the just the pressures of, like, who they were looked at as, like, kind of some of those societal roles are just stripped, there. They don't
Yeah.
have to do that. They can just be like, friends and
Yeah.
just do some nice things, look at the sun, read, talk to each other, and yeah, it's it's kinda sad when you think about that because their lives are so hectic, and look what gig like, they're such good kids, I know
Yeah.
Johnny had to he was in self-defense, killed someone, but they're really, really sweet and really caring, and it just shows how out of place they are for where they've been placed in society's views.
Mhm.
It's just, and how maybe the other ones even some of the other characters that are, greasers, how they also have been, and they maybe had to harden and kind of mold into that to
Yeah.
survive. Yeah. But yeah, and then we get another terrible part where the church burns down for some reason. And you brought up a good point, Erin, that we don't know why kids were
Yeah.
going to an abandoned church for a
Yeah,
field
because it
trip.
looked
I
because
don't know.
yeah, because and that's really it is kind of like questioning, like, why was the big school bus there? Why there's so many questions. So the fire probably started why didn't they get everybody before it became, like, full blown? Why were they having a field trip at this church? Like, are there I mean, like, because once they went in there, they probably saw, like, "Oh, wait a minute, looks like some homeless people are living here. Like, what is happening? There's boarded windows." It seems like the worst spot to take kids, and then
Yeah.
then it burns down, and it's just yeah, field trip ended. It's just
Yeah, and yeah, it really is. I mean, I don't know, maybe they thought maybe it's the 1960s of it all. I don't know, that they thought dilapidated places and places that were, I don't know,
yeah,
ruins, like, they could go and look at and learn something
yeah,
from. Who knows?
maybe,
But
maybe. Yeah, it's just kind of yeah, that it's interesting too because Dallas, when he's like, "Oh, this stinks." You could tell he wants to drive off, but he's just like, "All right, well, they're burning. It's burning. We got to go. We don't want anyone to see what we're doing." But then Ponyboy runs out and starts walking and tries to rescue kids. Johnny does the same. They're just like their instinct is just instantly to help.
yeah. Which again goes against that whole
Mhm.
delinquent, terrible people that they're given that label and where they live. But they like literally risk their lives. And Johnny gets hurt. He gets hit by like a burning beam that falls on him and gets trapped under the fire. And he's really, really hurt, really bad. Kind of a point where they all rally because, Ponyboy, when Johnny goes to the hospital, Ponyboy goes back to his family. I guess the police are willing to kind of forgive the murder or something because of
Yeah.
him saving kids or something. There's some talk of that, and,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, because now they're
yeah.
in the newspaper for good. Like, it's like even the teacher when they're at the burning church is like, "You guys are heroes." And you could see, like, like, it's something that, Ponyboy and Dallas had never heard anyone say that about them.
Yeah, they were never looked at in that way, especially not in the public eye, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then they gear up for the final rumble. There's, like, this big rumble set between the Socias and the Greasers, and they're like, "We gotta fight this for Johnny." Dallas is kind of unhinged because he's upset about Johnny being hurt, right?
Yeah.
He's a little kinda like, and then we have that final brawl where they're like, "Okay, who is the I don't know, the winner of the
The town?
stuff?"
I don't know.
The
Yeah, it's so
town?
dumb.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I
victor.
don't know.
It's just a constant battle that's ongoing, but let's do this. And Derry is very protective of Ponyboy. He's like, "Stay by me," blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "I'll take a little guy," blah, blah, blah. And,
Right.
but they end up, the greasers end up, being the victors. They win and
Mhm.
they're all so happy. They go to tell Johnny, Dallas, and Ponyboy, and Ponyboy is like, it just doesn't matter. He's just like, this whole thing just doesn't, basically saying
Yeah.
like, these are just divides. It just doesn't matter. And then he tells Ponyboy, he says, "Stay gold," which was part of the "Nothing Gold
Yeah.
Can Stay" poem, and then he dies. Poor little Johnny.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's really
and so
sad. It
it's
is sad. And yeah, it's just kind of that's the catalyst too for Dallas and just yeah, he's just yeah, completely unhinged then just because he takes a lot of responsibility for everything. He feels that I think he feels like it's his fault that this happened to Johnny.
Yeah, he looks after him, like, as a paternal figure, and he also sees him as, like, an innocent, like, I
Yeah.
needed to protect the innocent, and I failed at that, and
Yeah.
so it's also, like, the innocence of, their group of kind of, like, their family, right?
Yeah.
And saying, like, you're only as good as, kind of the weakest member, or the member who is, kind of the softest, sort of, and
Yeah.
so I think that really hit hard with him. But yeah, and he just goes robbing stores, he's trying to, like, basically get himself killed, he's just going nuts. Yeah, and then we see another part. I can't handle this part either, is, he's just so grieving, he's so out of his mind, he's just like, "Johnny, Johnny," and then he calls Derry on the payphone and is like, "Rob, I was knocking off some people, I got shot," or, whatever, I'm in trouble." They all go race to save him, because Derry's like, "Oh, he's in trouble, let's go get him," but the cops are there first, and they're like, "Drop your weapon," and he doesn't. They're like, he's a kid," and it's so sad because it's like, yeah, he is a kid. Like, he is a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah, and who was yelling that? Were the cops yelling it or were the kids yelling it? Like that he's a kid? Because
The kids were
yeah,
yelling it. It was all
yeah,
his, like, the
friends.
greasers, because they were
Yeah.
like, because
Yeah,
they
he's
just,
not a
because he kept holding, like, the gun, and that's all they could see in the silhouette, and they probably, they had to make sure they were safe, but they were trying to be like, "Oh my god, no, like, you don't know he's, like, going through
yeah,
stuff,"
yeah,
like.
and the gun wasn't even in full, like, it was just like a either pretend or empty because, like, when he went to go rob the, convenience store, like, there was nothing in it, like, in something like, there was nothing in the gun, like, it was just an
Yeah,
empty yeah,
there
it's
was
just
no
it
real threat. Yeah,
yeah,
but they didn't know that. That's so symbolic of him, like, there's no, maybe he is kinda soft, but he's just such a tough exterior, and
yeah, but I think that's what he wanted, though, I think he wanted to punish himself, and he wanted to, die, but he probably really didn't want to, but he just thought that this is the way to punish myself for what happened to Johnny, and it's so sad too when Ponyboy opens the Gone with the Wind book because they brought a book to Johnny because Ponyboy thought he would read to him, but Johnny had the nurse write a really nice letter basically saying, "I'm okay. Make sure Dallas knows it's okay." But it was too,
mm,
it was too late to tell Dallas and it was just and when Johnny's knowing he probably knew he was dying and, he's still thinking of Ponyboy's future, "Be a writer, do this, you're so great, and I understand now what the poem means, and, let Dallas know too that it's okay."
yeah. Yeah, and he says, like, "Those little kids' lives are worth more than mine," like, he sees,
Yeah,
he's just a very, self-sacrificing person, despite, I mean, he's not hardened. He's very, very, very sensitive to the world, even in his last breath. Like, he's
yeah,
just
yeah. Yeah, it was
through
worth
and
it.
through. Yeah. It's so sad, but it really is just a great movie. It just points out so much with
Yeah,
not just even mental health, but all the factors that really can affect mental
yeah.
health and just your well-being overall.
Mhm. Yeah, and I hope that people are still reading this book because it's so hard to believe that this is a book that is one that is always, like, on the banned list too.
Mhm.
It's just such a good book. I know there's violence and everything, but it explains, like, it's so deep about friendship and the different groups and how we treat people that we don't know or look different than us or act different than us or may have more money or less money or, we don't know, again, I know this sounds, we don't know what's happening at everyone's home. We don't know, in this book, this movie, it kind of helps us understand that too.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. I think it's an important book for people to still read. And the movie
Yeah.
it's such a great movie, and I've seen it so many times, and I've read the books quite a few times, and, it's just one of those and again, it was written by, like, a 16-year-old girl, and who got it, who understood, how can I share this message of, like, we're all going through it, like Cherry said, like, we don't know, like, we're all going through something.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see those connection points with between, like, Ponyboy and Cherry, and even, I think Bob or one of the leaders, like, when he's talking about, he's like, "I don't want this. I hate this. I don't want this
Yeah,
to continue on." Like, it's
yeah,
very much like there's almost a feeling of, like, this is what society expects from us, and
yeah,
it's very symbolic and being played out like this, and it kinda just continues into our adult lives, and this is how it
yeah,
keeps going, and
yeah.
this is how it affects people, and,
And you don't know too, like, it might have been happening for generations, like, maybe it wasn't always called greasers and socials, but even before that, it was probably like, the haves and the have-nots. So they were probably always looked at their families were probably looked at a little different from each other too.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely is something that it really is like it's a microcosm, it's looking at things from, kind of the it's a sign of what society was going through, and through the eyes of these young kids. And it
Yeah.
really, I think, like you said, it is very important because you really sympathize with these characters. You really can relate to
Mhm.
them, in some way, and see their struggles and see them as just, they're victims of their own circumstances,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
not necessarily just that they're just bad people. It's just, that's just such a characterization that's so
Yeah.
ignorant.
Yeah, they're trying to survive and just, like in real life, people who are born in different, that's they don't choose what families they were born into or what neighborhoods they are living in. It's, sometimes people do make bad choices because that's unfortunately what they have. And that doesn't always mean that they're bad people.
Right.
But but again, I love this movie and I love the book. I think it's
Yeah. Me too. It really shouldn't be on a ban list in my opinion at all. I
no,
think
me
there's a
neither.
lot to learn from it. But yeah, yeah, so that's The Outsiders. If you haven't
Yeah.
seen that, you need to see it, or if you haven't seen it in a
Yeah.
while, go watch it again or read it again
Yeah.
or whatever, or
Yeah.
both, because it's
And
amazing.
also something else. I really don't think Rob Lowe has aged at all.
Yes, that's absolutely true. He is a vampire. He's gotta be. He's just, I don't know, he struck a deal with the devil because he really is amazing, amazing looking now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for 61 or whatever he is, I mean, I watch him on the floor, and we've talked about his other movie that he was on, and they just show that, I just love him too, but yeah, I was just like, "Oh my gosh," he doesn't look that much different from that movie.
He doesn't. He just, man, he just has such a good nature, a good kind of vibe about him. I don't know. He's just great. He's great all around. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's adorable.
Mhm.
Which leads me to my challenge question.
Okay.
So, 2 things. To choose from all of those characters, the characters, right? But in an age appropriate way,
Okay, okay.
right? Like,
So
because we're,
it's not creepy. Okay.
yes, like in a way where we're saying, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Nowadays, they're older than all of us, but,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. They definitely
but
are older than all of us, yeah, so
yeah, okay, okay, okay.
but just in their characters, if
Mm.
you were to choose just based on their characters in the movie,
Mhm.
one of the gentlemen to date and one to be, like, a good friend, who would you choose?
Okay, well, that's super easy for me. Soda Pop. to date because he's just really cute and funny and nice, and not even that it's just Rob Lowe, but I mean, I just love Soda Pop's character and I've always loved him. And then Ponyboy, I would just love Ponyboy to be my best friend. He's just
Mhm.
so sweet and so kind and just such a loyal friend. I mean, Johnny is the most loyal too, but Ponyboy, he just seems like he helps people feel a little calmer. And Soda Pop is just silly and goofy with his best friend with his messed up teeth. But yeah,
Early Tom Cruise era.
yeah, Tom Cruise. But I did read that Tom Cruise took his I guess he had a cap on because he messed up his teeth from, like, hockey or something like that, and so he took his cap off for the, movie, and that was way before he had his adult
Oh.
braces and stuff,
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah, so yeah, it would be the Curtis brothers for me.
Those are good choices. Similarly, as for a friend, like a good friend, I would also choose Ponyboy. I think he'd be right up my alley. He's got like the poetry, the sensitivity thing, like,
Yeah.
and just a sweetie. Like just yeah, totally. Dating wise, I really am like kind of scared to say this. Like Dallas, I just love him. I don't think I ever would I know this is just ridiculous, whatever, just, kinda saying this. I gotta go with Dallas. I loved him, like, I just loved
Yeah,
him in that movie. Even though I know I would never date someone like that, especially someone who could be so unhinged and,
yeah.
kinda but
Why
just
why I would
I
have been
loved him.
shocked if you didn't say Dallas because I think you mentioned your
Yeah.
fascination with Matt Damon. Not Matt Damon. Did I say Matt Damon?
Matt Dillon.
Yes, your fascination
It is
with Matt
really
Damon.
close.
No, but with Matt Dillon. So, yeah, I would have been shocked if you didn't say Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the bad boyness is attractive, but I know it wouldn't be a long-term thing, so whatever.
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah.
he's a cutie. But yeah. So yeah, so that is our take on The Outsiders. Wonderful, wonderful.
Mhm.
But we have some other things coming up down the
Yeah.
pipeline.
I think we should probably do Saint Elmo's we should do Saint Elmo's Fire sometime, I think.
Yeah,
I
we
think
could
that would be
definitely add
good.
that in the mix. We could do a Rob Lowe slant.
Oh, I like that.
I don't have my calendar with me and all that stuff, but we can
I'll put it down.
plan that.
I'll write it.
Um, okay. Yeah, let's keep that as, probably some stuff in the new year.
Yeah, so and again, tell us people if there's because we like to do offshoots, so it's like, okay, so what
Yeah.
what is there's a lot of people in this movie to choose from.
For sure. Yeah, so let us know. Let us know what you think. Anything else, any other angles we didn't cover or yeah,
Mhm.
any suggestions for
Yeah,
future episodes.
yeah,
I would
we
love
do
that.
realize that there's a lot of family dynamics in this. There's abuse, grief, friendship, but we
Neglect.
just
Yeah.
we didn't cover all of it, but I think we did try to do a lot. And, there are spoilers
You
from
haven't watched this in
1982.
42 years, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, or if it gets you into watching it, go for it. But
yeah, I hope so.
let us know, and we love to hear from you. Catch us on all the socials, including YouTube, if you'd like to see us in
Yeah,
person. And yeah, but yeah, we hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, let us know anything, any questions, anything, send us. We love to hear from you. And yeah, we I can't remember the outro.
uh,
um
stay wicked and keep your mind well. All right,
yeah.
everybody, have a great week, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye guys.